in encrypted format, and it won't make sense to the security team. So to get those things in decrypted format, definitely there will be some proxy in the company, and that proxy will be kind of logging all the traffic in a decrypted format, and it will send out that to a central repo, let's say a SIEM tool, and as a SOC person, we just need to log into that SIEM tool rather than logging into the proxy website, proxy logs. And what we do is that in the SIEM tool, all the logs will be there of the proxy logs, and what we do is that from there itself, from one avenue, what we can do is that we can search for this kind of traffic going forward. Okay, so over here, thing is that the proxy log is not just one of the avenues. So that's the reason. Obviously, from the networking side, the proxy is one of the thing, but from the disk side, let's suppose I have the disk image of that person. What I can do is that I can investigate. I can get all these details even from that system, even without the proxy log. Okay, so that's one of the things. So let's say, for example, I'm using a tool like there are multiple tools. One of the tool I normally use is the Axiom tool. Okay, Axiom. So in that Axiom, what it does is like it actually, there are multiple artifacts in the Windows operating system, which actually records what are the website that you visited, what the history of the website that you visited in a decrypted format. So what I do is that I just parse those artifacts from those Axiom tool, and it will quickly tell me, okay, what are the websites that person has visited, and from there I could have kind of investigated. So let's say for the incident that I have discussed, let's say I was not having the proxy log. So in that case, what my task would be, let's say there are 100 employees, I would just do the disk investigation of all those 100 employees quickly, and kind of figure out. I'll get the history of the URL that they have visited, and I can quickly figure out if they have kind of done any malicious search on google.com. Okay, so there are multiple avenues to kind of figure out that. Yeah.
So is this a free tool that you mentioned? So can you name it? Axiom.
No, this is a paid tool. This is a paid tool actually. The Axiom is actually a paid tool, and it's very costly. But the thing is that if you know what artifacts you need to kind of what artifacts you need to kind of get those answers. So as I told over here when I was discussing about why I am investing more time in network, why I'm investing more time in this forensic, is that let's say you don't have that tool, which is the Axiom tool. Okay, thing is that, but when I will be kind of discussing this forensic part, I will be discussing about the artifacts that can tell you, or the logs on the system that can tell you what the website that the user has visited previously. Okay, so if you know about those things, I will also discuss about how you can parse those logs. Okay, so now if you know about those things, like what that artifact is, and what you will be kind of knowing that in after a few sessions when I will be kind of handling this concept part. So if you know this part, you don't need to actually use this tool. You can directly go and fetch. You know the location where the logs are. You just fetch that out. You parse that manually, maybe using the SIF OS that I actually suggested you guys earlier, or from any other OS. You can just parse that log and you can get that information for you guys. Okay, so you don't need to depend on the Axiom tool. Okay, and in most of the cases, what will happen whenever you are doing this kind of investigation? Let's say you have 100 employees that you need to investigate, and you have, let's say, only one day to kind of figure out who did that message stuff. So in that case, it is not possible to use the Axiom tool and do the disk investigation and get the answer, because to process that disk image, it might take, let's say, at least for one system, it will take, let's say, at least 5 hours. Okay, and if you have 100 systems, it will take you 500 hours just to parse the system, and then the analysis will take, let's say, another 2 hours, for an example. So it will take weeks and weeks. Okay, but if you know about, let's say, what the specific artifacts that you need to see, and how to parse that, and how to kind of analyze that, without even utilizing this tool, you can quickly, like, when I did that investigation, it was a mix of Axiom tool, and it was a mix of the manual approach that I utilized. And utilizing this manual approach, I was actually able to kind of get the answers. So Axiom, I was utilizing this to get little bit more details what that user was doing. But that manual analysis you can complete for 100 employees. Okay, if you know about what logs to look at and how to pass that log in just 1 hour. Okay, so that's the reason. Thing is that I'm again specifying that's the reason why we're investing more time in like network and this concept. It will actually make you independent of the tool. So even if you don't have this tool, you can quickly do that. So in 1 hour, you can kind of investigate 100 employees and figure out what all website they have visited. Okay, rather than depending on the tool and waiting for like 500 hours to just parse that this image. Okay, so I hope this answers your question. Is there any other clarification you need?
Sir, is there any other AI tools that we can use to do this kind of investigation when we don't have any manual investigation?
Yeah. So again, like let's discuss that in more detail in the disk forensic part. Okay. Because this all. But in the network forensic part, let's first figure out in the. So there are NKs, there are FTK tools and all. I will be kind of disclosing you the FTK tool, how this is a free tool. I'll be discussing that in this forensic part. But if we stuck to the network forensic discussion, we don't need any tool actually, because if there is a proxy log that is going to SIEM, let's say the SIEM is Splunk, for example, what we can do is that we can kind of just search for the keywords and kind of get our details. So from the network forensic part is very easy, okay? Because even like let's say there are 100 employees, who, and in that one of the employee was like this 100 employee who deleted the database, and let's say his own system was kind of let's say stolen, let's say deleted, and he deleted all the artifacts from the system. So in that case, even like if those systems are not there, we can get those information from the network side, because he or she won't be able to delete this data. Okay, they might be able to kind of hammer upon the disk and destroy the disk, but they won't be able to delete this data easily. Okay, so that's why network forensic is this is where the network forensic log actually sign from the disk forensic part, because here we get the log quickly, very easily. And thing is that it is not something that the employee can kind of delete or kind of spoof us, like what website they visited and what kind of activity that did. So from the network forensic part, we just need to look at the proxy log, and from there we can figure out what kind of kind of traffic was there that was generated from by the attacker or by any of the employee who did some kind of policy violation. Okay, so I hope this answers your question, right? So if that's fine, now let's kind of quickly go to the next headers. Okay, so the first thing definitely the cookie header that we have now looked at, and this all field will not make sense to us. Just figure out that this will only make sense to the web server. They might be the Google web server might be using this fields for certain kind of analysis on their end. And these numbers will not make a sense to us now. Okay, now but this is the cookie header. And as I told, the cookie header is actually the whole objective of cookie is just to kind of figure out if you are a valid user of facebook.com, so that you don't need to enter username and password every time. But this can be also utilized in different way, where the malware can utilize this to kind of tell the malware author, like, okay, what are the other details of that system. So here the NotPetya is telling to the attacker that it is able to kind of get the admin privilege, and this is a specific ID, let's say a specific ID of that system. Okay, so that's all about the cookie header. And now let's figure out what all other headers are. So the next header is actually it will be the accept language. So if I go over here, so if you see the header over here is accept language. Okay, so and the value is EN, which stands for English US. So what my browser is telling to the web server that that I am a person who only understands English language the most. So the data that I want from your web server should be in English. So when the web server reads that, and if that web server can entertain your request, it will send you the data back in, like we see over here, the HTML code of that website, the google.com. Okay, it is in English. Okay, the most of the data